to match up against these kinds of things. Almost no one's building their deck to match up against how rogue matchups are right now. When that's happening, then they have the liberty of creating a game plan and then preparing for everything else that's out there. Not only are they kind of evening the edge in terms of deck building because the strategies are lining up better, but you don't really know exactly what they're doing. And then they get the knowledge edge from that as well.
Yeah, that's true. So I mean, man, this rogue is actually like super amazing. I mean, I kind of disagree with like the game plan that's a little bit worse than other matchups. I mean, just look at the mech mages now, right? What other class can deal with the mech mage that early on with that much response, right? I think rogue is actually a very good pick here. That if you think the whole pool of players is going to be playing mech mage, that's a very valid answer.
Yeah, I mean that's part of the benefit of it. It's like like it was before. Like originally, it was kind of like a counter deck to some of the aggro decks that were out there, and it got so good at countering the decks that people started finding ways to like counter the decks enough, and then counter the other rogue decks that everyone was playing, and it just kind of exploded into the rogue meta, where everyone killed everyone with Leroy Jenkins no matter what.
Oh god, that was a bad meta. Let me tell you. Dethelor is holding his head. He's really thinking of what to pick here, thinking of whether to cool out this rogue. Is giving us a little bit too much trouble even. But man, Orange is showing the dominance of rogue that can happen when you draw really well and you have the answer.
I don't really know where you go here if you're Dethelor. I don't know which one of his matchups is better against his rogue deck. I would think that it's Warlock, but I'm not entirely sure. There's definitely a chance that it's Druid instead, but I think I would go with Warlock here.
Yeah, I
But then
mean,
you have to be worried about the coup, though.
oh, Orange still has a coup. That's really he's like super ahead now, huh? But I think if you're Orange right now, would you just wait for your opponent to see if they coup you first?
I think so. I think you do want to wait.
Yeah, you have three decks to two, right? And you
Yeah.
just need to beat one of them.
So you just go with it. What if it's like a last second coup, and you're like, their last second's better than your last second? See, you say there's no micro in Hearthstone.
Oh,
You need to practice that last second coup micro.
okay, I see.
That's the way to do it.
And here we go. Game loaded. It is gonna be a the fast lock. Remember
Yeah.
the Arcane Golem one, and yeah, Orange on the other hand. That looks like a pretty interesting hand. I mean, if it's Zoo, I think it's an auto win, but it's not a Zoo, so yeah, not quite. Would you want to play this matchup, gentlemen? It's like a game of chicken too, right? They're like staring at each other's soul, and oh,
Orange is gonna coup it. I agree. I agree with his coup here too. It makes a lot of sense just in the matchup sake because it's like we talked about this earlier, where someone tries to win two matches and then just coup whatever they queue up with their third deck with, because almost no one is gonna take what they think is their worst chance out of the two to play that game.
That's true. Although mind games.
Yeah, I mean that's where it comes into effect. But do you have enough information to think that your opponent's going to do that? That's where it's tough. You're like you have to gauge it. Like what if I cooed the wrong one?
Mm-hmm.
I would tend to coup the Warlock though.
Yeah, me too. I mean, especially Deathlord's Warlock, right? It's not the typical one, and it's really hard to play against that because it's just like the experience, right? How often do you come across like an Arcane Golem overwhelming lock with like double Hellfire, double Implosion, and stuff like that, right? So
Yeah, it just doesn't really happen.
at least in a Druid, they have like cheating. I mean, good cards like Innervate and Wild Grove, but then still, you at least know what cards they're gonna play, right? So
Yeah.
familiarity is a very strong point. So here you go. Orange against Dethelor 2-0. This might be Dethelor's last match, but he certainly hopes not. We have a Shade opening for Orange. That's pretty cool. And if Dethelor, if we flip the cards around, oh, no, that's not a terribly bad hand. After a mulligan, it's like he did mulligan because he just drew his 7 drops back. And oh man, double fan of knives against druids. Not exactly
Oh, he
what
picks up Wild Growth.
Wow. Wow, Growth.
I think you jam out this turn one pilot to Shredder.
Really? I think you actually wait. I think you actually want to turn 2 Wild Growth into Shredder, and then you can also like innovate a Dr. Boom and then coin an Ancient of Lore after that. I think that's like insane, right? That curve is actually pretty insane. Just you have to wait a turn on that though.
Yeah, I'm gonna innovate out the pilot shredder. I think that the potential for that card to get like 8+ damage is worth more than the curve considerations.
Really? I
I
think
think so.
I don't know, but playing the Dr. Boom, if you do it your way, then Dr. Boom is coming at turn 7. If you do it the Wild Growth way, then Dr. Boom is coming at turn 4. That is a lot of acceleration. This turn 1 is actually pretty difficult because you have a lot of options available.
Yeah, I mean it's really
like,
tough. I mean, this is a lot of foresight.
Yeah, I just like the passing, right? Turn 2 Wild Grove, turn 3 the Shredder, and then turn 4 Dr. Broom. Perfect. Love it. A natural mistake. Definitely doesn't seem like it. Yeah, it's a bit confused on what he wants to do, but Wild Growth most certainly should come down to turn 2.
I mean, once you've got to this point, you're definitely wild growthing.
Right. Orange probably is gonna have a shade here. That's just shade in rogue is really good, huh? Right? Otherwise you won't be playing anything.
I mean, I like it a lot, especially with the sharp sword oil in there.
Whoa. Turn 3 Dr. Broom instead. Uh-oh. Orange is not looking happy about that.
This is actually going to get dealt with too, though.
That's true.
Yeah.
Man, it's not a happy dealt with.
I don't know. I think you are pretty happy to deal with it.
Well, I mean, you are expending quite a bit of resources against this, don't you think? Prep Fan of Knives.
Yeah, you're spending 3 cards on 2 cards. You're not getting the favorable end of the deal.
Right.
But I don't think it's like the worst case scenario. Like this is more of a sigh of relief, I think, than it is like crap. I have to use a bunch of cards on it.
Okay, but hey, it is a sigh of relief. But what happens when your opponent drops more creatures now? Like,
it's definitely tough.
Yeah. Drew of the Claw is the pick right here because it does play on curve. Do you want to charge your opponent's face, Admirable?
This is one of the matchups where I'm okay with taunting, but I do like charging.
Who are you?
I do like charging now. Here's the thing, though. If he didn't play the turn 1 piloted shredder to start applying pressure to his opponent, I think he's just going to go strictly for value, which is like what he's trying to do with the Dr. Boom, and it also kind of like lines up with that strategy and that consistency is that he wants extra value out of this. So like, hadn't he played like turn 1 piloted shredder and tried to get in there for like 8 to 12 points of damage, sure, charge Drew to the Claw. You're getting him really close to combo range at that point. But right now, your opponent's at 25. They still have 4 cards in their hand. They have a dagger active. You've seen a lot of this deck, and it's really heavily based on value. You need to get something going. See, this is actually like this plan. I'm not actually unhappy with this. This is like a much more aggressive line, believe it or not, because what he's saying now is he wants to get this active, and his game plan is quite literally to use Force Nature Savager in 1 turn with the big shade and try to win the game off that.
Interesting assessments. Adric is going to come down and his sprints. Oh my god. 2 sprints. Not really what he's. It's kind of like a Doomhammer, right? You want to see one thing, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This looks like a very, very easy Lotheb.
Yeah. I mean, Rogues only play... Rogues, I think, over half of the deck are spells. So, it's usually a good Lotheb turn. Alright. Lotheb is going to come down here, and I'm going to stop any spells from Orange happening. What does
this turn is not this turn is not magnificent.
No, not at all.
This is ugly.
I mean, you can attack the Lotheb and then use anti-Killbot, for example. That's one of the ways that you can deal with things. But aside from that, that's about it.
Is this another disconnect scenario?
I hope Orange is still with us. That would be pretty sad if that wasn't the case.
Oh, jeez.
Oh no, Dethelor's shaking his head. He actually he kind of knows what's happening too. Oh boy. No,
Well, that is end of the turn.
that's a poof.
Orange. Yeah, that's certainly the end of the game. Oh, oh my gosh, even just Savage Roar.
Yeah. Well,
Um, yeah, so Deathlord I think is going to wait on exactly what he should be doing
mhm,
to figure out how we go forward. But that's definitely a disconnect. And in a situation where I feel like Deathlord definitely had an advantage in that game,
right.
albeit kind of a slight one.
Hmm.
But the Lotheb was like giving him a much stronger turn to like yield to like take initiative from his opponent and then really run away with the game. But we're gonna have to wait and see exactly what happens. It looks like that's gonna be game 3 to Deathlord at the very least, though. But we do have a schedule. You know, we have a bunch of other players waiting. Of course, we have people watching. We have production crew. We have a
Hmm.
Maz, who I'm sure after the longest day's works of all time
Oh
is
man.
tired. But yeah, we're gonna have to just wait and see what happens here.
Yeah. Hopefully we have a response from the admin soon. Um, let's see if I can get any of those. But then, yeah, I mean, even though Orange would still drop that game, I believe. I mean, the Savage Roar. I mean, judging by the hand quality as well, I would have to still give this in favor of the Druid. Even though if it's not like a sure win, it's definitely a big favorite. So yeah, we didn't
Yeah,
really see a play flurry. We didn't even see a a
yeah, I
clear
think
like.
it's really just given this like the context of the hands. Like he'd already gotten the Doctor Boom taken care of, but then
Mhm.
he started to get some board presence. He drew Lotheb to make sure that he could take initiative no matter what versus that
Right.
matchup, and then he also had Force Nature Savage War. So it's like almost impossible for him to have like not had an actual advantage in that game just because he's setting up for lethal and so soon after that. And so if Orange can manage to check that, that's a different story. But that's going to take a few extra cards. We have to see a few extra turns, and at the end of the day, just DCs mean game losses, and that's the way that tournaments have to work.
I mean, yeah, of course. Otherwise, people will be like, yeah, the first one to pull the plug wins the game, right?
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm going to lose. Oh,
That's
I disconnected. Wow. Not that I think people are going to be doing that, but the
yeah.
point is, it's a preventative measure, so that it can never happen. That's the idea.
It's kind of the drawback, I guess, of having a live event like this. Well, I mean, you have multiple things that happen, right? Live events, you have like recorded events. Recorded events of obviously are much more stable in terms of production and showing to you guys. But of course, the live event adds the extra excitement, if anything, right? Players are kind of like playing along with you guys, and yeah, you can just get like, you know, the interaction is definitely there. So advantages and disadvantages, and we'll see.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that we have. So yeah, moving forward with this, let's take a look at his lineup and see what's going on because he's finally lost with his rogue deck, which has just absolutely been a menace on what's
Mhm.
happening here. And this druid deck is a fast druid deck, so I don't think he wants to queue warrior into it. Do you think he wants to just take a druid mirror, or do you think warlock? He's feeling confident in that. Like, where exactly does he go? Because Deathlord still got his coup available too.
Okay. Well, I mean, obviously, Deflo wants to hit the warrior of the druid, so that's definitely not going to be cooed. Uh, Druid mirror might be the most scary part. I mean, the warlock seems perfectly fine, right? Handlock. It depends on what your starting hand is. So if I'm actually orange, I would not kill the warlock just to give my opponent a free look at his opening hand.
So you would not queue the warlock
I
and
would
see if
not kill the warlock.
okay. So you want them to see if they're going to coup your druid.
Right. I think I'd probably go with the mirror match, to be honest. Yeah, that feels pretty
Actually, I
safe.
think I actually like that game plan. I think
Hmm.
because if you have a bad opening here with the druid too and they coup it, you're like yes.
Yeah.
Also another big benefit.
All right. Well, yeah. I mean, hopefully, we can get Orange a bit set up here. He's restarting his computer, and hopefully it'll be back soon. So we're gonna take a quick break, guys. A quick 5-minute break, and then when we return, Hopefully we can continue the series. 2-1 to Orange right now versus Dethelor. See you guys soon.